Oh my goodness. So market and outcome was probably the thing that brought me undone the most in my early days of running retreats. I was trying to be everything to everyone and do everything for everyone. Basically, let me just fill you in on my first maybe 4 or 5 retreats, and I regretted it after running the first retreat. My market was any woman who runs any sort of business, and my outcome was to build a business. Like, both of my market and outcome were literally that vague, to the point where my first retreat, which I was mentioning earlier, had a plumber, a property developer, an e-commerce homewares gift store, a mortgage broker, a wedding planner, and someone else in that group, right? And so I only had 6 attendees. It should have been stress less. So not only did I have that variety in the room, to the point where for the property developer, I was building a webinar. For the plumber, I was doing Google AdWords. Like, it was insane, the breadth. Like, for the e-commerce person, she obviously wanted very different stuff to what the wedding planner wanted. Like, they all had such different markets and starting points where they were coming from. And then to top that off, I was teaching them how to build a business. Like, that was as specific as I got. To the point where some people were, so I had a videographer in there filming videos in front of everyone for their program. They were writing the scripts on day 1, filming them on day 3. Like, there's nothing more stressful for an attendee than knowing they've got to film a video in front of a videographer. People were like having freakouts about this. I was building AdWords campaigns. I was building Infusionsoft automation campaigns. We were writing emails. We were building funnels. We were setting up, we were even doing website. I just remembered this. We built a website, a 400-page website for every attendee who attended the event. I just remembered that. That's insane. We were building Facebook campaigns from beginning to end, like AdWords campaigns. We were doing SEO on their websites. I'm remembering all of this now. I've tried to block this from my memory. So if you think you're going too broad, can I just say from experience, stop, narrow it in, refine it, have one outcome and one target group of people. Everything works better. When you brainstorm in a room, everyone's brainstorming works. When you're coming up with to-dos or implementation time, everyone's doing and implementing the same thing. Like, that's where the power is for the attendees and for you running it. So by the end of each of those days in that particular retreats, or those retreats, I just remember the first one in particular, because I was probably in shock. I still have PTSD from this, I'm sure, where every night I would walk into my hotel floor, I'd put on the happy face all day, open my hotel room and kick off my shoes and just sit on the floor and cry, like every night. And on the final day, I brushed one half of my hair and not the other half. And I remember one of my helpers, who's my mentor to this day, was walking around after me on day 3 because I had a bird's nest on this side and straight hair on this side. And she kept running around and coming up to me with a hairbrush. And I just remember at one point turning around and saying, "Yes, is it important?" Because I was so stressed about all the crazy stuff I was doing. And she just looked at me and went, "No, go for it." And they just gave up. And it got to the point where on the last day when I was saying farewells, and I was a broken woman by this point, but I was putting on the show and just pretending that this is all how it's supposed to go. And by the end of it, in my parting farewell speech, I said the words, "And the great news is I'm pregnant." And I wasn't. I was so beyond exhaustion of having to work until 2 a.m. every night to try and figure out how the heck I was going to teach all of this once I got in the room. And I just remember I said the words, "And I'm pregnant." And I remember the whole room went, "Ah!" And my husband was in the back and he's like, "What?" And I had to say, I have no idea. To this day, I don't know why I said it. It wasn't even on my mind. And I just had to say, "Oh, sorry, actually, I'm not." And the whole room's like, "What?" And it was that stressful that kind of stuff was happening. Half brush hair, false pregnancy reports, and tears every night. All because my market and outcome were wrong. So don't underestimate the power of having a super niched, super specific outcome that people can grab onto and get excited about. And you can dive deep on that outcome. Trust me, you will always figure out a way to fill up your days if you're worried it's too niche. And if you're worried about the market being too specific, it's a huge world out there. And that's what I had to learn the hard way. There are so many women, even if I niche it in on only dealing with people who just want to do this kind of stuff in just this kind of niche, it's still a huge world out there, and you will find the people that are interested in coming.